Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to Geek Culture Combat. I am your host, Rob, and I got my very special guest, not his first time. We've debated a couple of times. It is Draven, and we are going to be talking about some heavyweight vampire/vampire hunters. It is going to be Vampire Hunter D from the titular, novel and the movie and stuff like this. It's the titular character, and we're going to be talking about Alucard from Castlevania, the son of Dracula. So this is going to be one heck of a battle, but we are both anxious to get into it. Now, before I get into it, let me remind you to like, share, subscribe, and at the end, as always, we do not determine who wins. You do. You listen to the arguments on both sides, and at the end, you put it in the comment section down below, and you let us know who do you have winning. And we're not talking about between Rob and Draven. We are talking about between the characters. Who wins this battle? Vampire Hunter D or Alucard? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let Draven go first and tell us about Alucard, and then I will come in and I will represent Vampire Hunter D. The floor is yours, Draven. Go for it.
All right, guys. Draven here. Super excited to be on here again. It's been an absolute blast doing these. Today I'm going to be defending Alucard in our debate. Alucard is the main character in the anime Helsing and Helsing Ultimate. And in his past life, he was striking fear into the hearts of mortal men as Vlad Tepes III, or more commonly known as Vlad the Impaler. He was born in 1431. Vlad was enslaved by Ottoman conquerors as a child and abused by a high ruler. Later on, he became forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, the Voivode of Wallachia, in which time he launched his infamous war on the Turks. Vlad became the first true vampire, though, after he was caught and sentenced to death for the war he waged. However, before that could happen, he drank blood from the battlefield and fully embraced the powers of darkness, at which time the silver cross he had always carried with him shattered, and he renounced all trust and belief in his god. Jump about 466 years later or so to the year 1897, and we have the events of Bram Stoker's Dracula unfold, where Abraham Van Helsing was able to defeat Alucard and all of his followers, but instead of killing Alucard, Helsing captured and tamed him with a mix of magic and science, and from that time on, he served the Helsing family as basically their end-all weapon, hunting vampires and any other supernatural threats. Some of his powers and abilities: Alucard, for one, has centuries of combat under his belt from the countless wars he's waged and the battlefields that he's visited. Alucard also carries some weapons with him, such as his two signature guns, which are a Helsing Arms 454 that he calls Castle, and a Helsing Arms 13mm anti-freak combat pistol that shoots explosive rounds named Jackal. Two guns that no regular person could pick up and fire, that's for sure. This pair of guns could easily wipe out enemies in one shot. The bullets Alucard use in Jackal are armor-piercing rounds cased in blessed silver and feature an explosive hollow point tip containing a charge of blessed mercury. So just absolutely devastating. And Castle fires a 454 silver round, which are said to be even more powerful than a 50 cal Desert Eagle handgun, which is, if I remember right, like the biggest handgun you can actually get. I might be wrong on that. Alucard also has a absolute ton of supernatural abilities as well, so he's got like ultimate regeneration. His healing factor is said to be far more powerful than any other vampire in his world. If he were to ever really get damaged in any way, he kind of just turns into a giant shadow and reconstitutes himself. His physical strength alone was more than enough to rip right through one of his enemy's weapons that was strong enough to slice through uranium with ease. So this guy's just sheer strength alone is absolutely off the charts. He's also got supernatural speed, reflexes, agility, and accuracy. He can pass through solid objects, manipulate shadows, shapeshift, and control the weather to some extent. He has extremely heightened senses and is able to sense most of his opponent's abilities, even being able to see the blessings on his enemy's weapons. It's said that the only thing that can truly even start to hurt Alucard is the holiest of Christian artifacts, like the nail of Helena, which is a nail that was used to crucify Jesus, and even that Alucard healed from pretty fast. Alucard is basically invulnerable and immortal. There's not much that can be done to kill him. Of course, there's always a way. Not to mention that Alucard holds the souls of everything he's ever killed. And he can summon all of them to fight for him. Just millions and millions of souls at his complete and utter disposal. So those are some of Alucard's powers and abilities, and I guess I'll pass the mic back over to Rob.
All right, no problem. I appreciate that, Draven. And I'm sorry, guys, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if I got the franchise wrong. I said Castlevania, and I know there's an Alucard in Castlevania, but we could be talking about two different Alucards. That's the one I was studying on, so forgive me if I got the franchise wrong.
Oh, my bad, man.
Did you say?
My bad.
Because you said like Van Helsing, right?
Yeah, from the anime Helsing, like Helsing Ultimate is what it's called, or Helsing OSV.
And Alucard's in there, right?
Yeah, he's the main character in that.
He's the main guy. Okay, and then in Castlevania, Alucard's the main character in that one too.
That's crazy. I didn't even think about that when we talked about it.
No problem. It's not a problem at all. I mean, so just for the record, guys, there's two Alucards, okay? There's one in Castlevania, and then there's one in Van Helsing. So, okay, so no problem. We got that all straightened out. No problem. So for those who want to go do their research afterwards, and they're like, who is this guy talking about? So, so we go from there. But Vampire Hunter D. Obviously, there's some anime out on him, and then, of course, there's some, novels and graphic novels and things like that about him. Vampire Hunter D. A little bit of history on him. He was originally a conjoined twin, and he had an identical brother who is also simply named D. Okay, and they refer to Vampire Hunter D as the real D, and then his brother is the fake D. While just as strong as the real D, is complete opposite of D's personality, being both cruel and given a humor, which ultimately leads them to become enemies. Vampire Hunter D is very quiet. He doesn't say a whole lot of words, and he doesn't do a whole lot of humor or anything like that. The pair were born in the Sacred Ancestors Research Facility deep beneath the village of Sadak, where many noble/human hybrids, vampire/human hybrids, experiments occurred. Sometime in the past, the real D was given the symbiotic being left hand. Okay, that's his left hand has a face on it, and left the facility believed to have destroyed it, while his brother was confined by the Sacred Ancestors. Little else is known about D, where he is going and what he is searching for. He just travels. He's like a vagabond. He's like a wanderer. Okay, he's really like a bounty hunter, so to speak. He rarely converses with anyone except those who hire him to destroy vampires, and even then, he says only what is necessary. This is his personality. He doesn't talk a whole lot. And D has never shown an overt affection towards anyone, vampire or human. The most that others can hope to expect would be a smile. But it's generally accepted that this is a rare thing for the emotionless hunter to do. He's a vampire hunter. That's what he's doing. That's his whole mission. Given a little bit on his age, although D's exact age is never really revealed, he's known to be about 5,000 years old, as stated when escorting Byron Balaz. Okay, the group arrives at an ancient noble air terminal where the facility AI says that it was told of D by the Sacred Ancestors when he visited 5 millennia ago, right? But just a little bit more on his age. It says, but there's also hints that he may actually be much older, such as in the case of Dr. Gretchen using an attack that was used on the Sacred Ancestor 10,000 years ago. Okay, and it says once she used it on D, he seemed to recall it, given a true question of his age and shocking Dr. Gretchen. So it seems like he's older. He seems a little bit older. So give you a little bit of on his powers and abilities, and we'll get into more specifics as we go through this beatdown. Vampire Hunter D is also immortal. He is hinted at of being 10. He's at least 5,000 years old, but he has been hinted at to being 10,000 years old and has not aged. He has regeneration. We will get into that. He has self-regeneration. We'll get into that as well. Okay, superhuman strength, superhuman speed. I mean, it's ridiculous. He has a thrall ability, superhuman durability, superhuman reflexes, superhuman stamina, superhuman senses, superhuman awareness, supernatural aura. Okay, it's about the nobility and the killing lust. We'll get into that. Blade affinity. His vast knowledge. I mean, who wouldn't be when you're millennia years old? You know, multiple millennia years old. Vast knowledge, combat experience. It's ridiculous. He is a vampire hunter and been doing it for centuries. Marksman. He's a weapon master, a master tracker. He is a hunter. A master tactician. He's been ambushed and got him out of many scrapes. He's a stealth master. He's a vampire hunter. Perpetual power growth. He just keeps getting stronger. Okay, he has vast wealth. He has a lot of wealth reserves. Telepathy, telekinesis, vampirism. Okay, and he is one of the greatest vampire hunters there is. Okay, and there's a couple other things that he has, but we're gonna go ahead and get into this beat down. All right, so if you want to set the stage, my man Draven, go ahead. What do you think's gonna happen? Come catch this fade. Tell your boy to come outside because he's gonna get these hands.
All right, let's talk about it, man. All right, so Alucard is also he is Dracula, but he's also the world's best vampire hunter in Helsing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is two of the greatest vampire hunters who both seem to have are both vampires in some sort of sense almost. Mm-hmm. Fighting, and that to me is just absolutely amazing. So the one thing that gets me is, let's say that Vampire Hunter D gets a hit on my man Alucard here. Alucard has had his head cut off. Alucard has literally been shredded down into a pile of blood and nothing, and still reconstituted himself from that state. So, I mean, frankly here, man, even if you were to obliterate my man down to just atoms, he's gonna reconstitute himself. It might take him a little longer, but he's going to come back. No matter what you do, he's gonna come back. I mean, my boy got stabbed through the heart with the nail of Helena, confronted God, lost literally all of his souls, millions and millions of souls, lost all of those, and was still able to reconstitute himself almost immediately from that attack.
Okay, so we're gonna talk. So we're gonna talk about durability. We'll get on the offense. So we're gonna talk about defense. Okay, so you bringing up defense. Okay, no problem. Let's talk about defense. You mentioned that he reconstituted himself. My boy has two defensive things. Tell you right now, well, three if you include durability. But we have regeneration, self-resurrection, and we have durability. Let me tell you about my boy's regeneration. He has high regeneration and a healing factor even beyond most nobles. Okay, D has additional regeneration afforded by Countenance Carnbuckle. Right, two shining examples of this power. Give you an example, okay, of his power is when he allowed himself to be devoured by a group of 5 true vampires who were former pseudo nobles, being torn into 5 major pieces, and those pieces then ripped into smaller pieces. He burst forth from the heads of those 5 separate beings and reformed effortlessly. Do you understand what happened? He got dismembered, eaten, okay, and then burst out of them and reformed. He also regenerated completely from the fount of life, being severed from a blade called blue blood that left hand said could not be healed by anyone, including him, leaving him bleeding from every pore on his body uncontrollably. But he healed from it, okay? Now, his self-resurrection. While D has high resistance to all forms of damage and high regeneration, he can be destroyed. But let me finish. This is different from dying, though. While mortal beings can be killed, D is not a mortal being. He is immortal. This allows him to regenerate from damage that would seemingly destroy the body, having a higher form of vampire resurrection. Even when certain weaknesses like being killed while under the effects of sunlight syndrome and without the left hand to aid him in revivals, has been shown time and time again that he is capable of reviving himself if need be. 2 examples of this are when Twin Shadowed Knight, He was killed. He resurrected himself after blood ran down to his mouth and automatically drank it, reviving him. And another one, okay, is seen from the scenes of the unholy war where left hand was destroyed along with himself by Toma, resurrected despite not recovering yet from sunlight sickness and being heavily poisoned without the aid of left hand. So he brought himself back no matter what. He's been torn asunder, consumed, he's been destroyed, and he's come back. And that's my little take on durability. Mike is yours.
Okay, all right, we can talk about that, man. I mean, but has your boy ever been just completely dismantled all the way down to just a molecular structure and still reconstituted himself? I mean, so let's talk about it, man. Alucard, he's got the daywalking abilities, he's got all of that. Just about, he can deal with just about anything. Now, the one thing that I think that puts Alucard on the edge here is the fact that, he is the one true vampire. He was, Vlad Tepes III, he was Vlad the Impaler. This man he's done and seen it all. He's fought, they fought Nazis, Nazi vampires. This man has seen everything. All right. So the thing is, though, is that Alucard has the supernatural senses, man. Okay. He's able to sense any supernatural activity. He's able, like I said, to sense the blessings on his enemy's weapons. So, before Vampire Hunter D even gets to throw a punch or get close enough to Alucard to do anything, Alucard will sense it. And, he will counteract it. He's got he can transform into a bunch of bats. He's got telepathy. He can use mind control. He can summon his familiars or like all the souls out of his body. And that is millions and millions of souls that he could release at any given time to fight for him, and that will essentially die for him, So let's talk about it, man. He's got the supernatural accuracy, he's got intangibility, shadow manipulation, so he can manipulate shadows into a physical form. And not only that, he can control the weather, man. Just all of weather. He can just fog everything up real bad. You won't be able to see him.
Okay. Let me jump in there a little bit more. Okay, a little bit on his durability. He has taken extreme punishment, which includes being impaled, eviscerated, all his inner organs ruptured, absorbed a nuclear blast, survived a collision with a meteor that sent him flying for miles, and having a miniature sun envelop his body. He's been through it all. Okay, covered in magma and frozen in sub-zero temperatures, withstand blows from enemy who can crush 100 tons and mountain ranges, and crash at faster than a light speed fighting a Sigma. But okay, that's his durability. So he can stand up to some damage. But I'm gonna go ahead and look at some of his speed, because you think your boy thinks he's messing with a slowbo, and he don't know who he's messing with. The upper limits of D's speed is unknown, though he has shown to move so fast he leaves after images in great leaps or short bursts of sheer swiftness. That's what he moves so fast, he leave after images. It looks like he's still there, but he's already gone. Now we're trying to get in. You said supernatural senses. Okay, D's sight, hearing, taste, balance, etc. are well beyond even the superhuman senses of nobles, which Alucard would qualify as a noble since he is the OG vampire. I will give you that. I will show that amount of respect. D spent most of his time in a novel of Dark Road blind, and was able to accumulate his senses of to fight off and kill some of the most powerful vampires without the use of his eyes. Supernatural awareness, able to see and converse with spirits, sense their energy and the energy of living beings. He can do that. He has supernatural aura. He has an extremely powerful aura, even more so than the nobility. Okay, the aura can freeze or paralyze enemies in place. That's what his aura can do. Now you're getting a little bit into some of the supernatural stuff, okay? The blade affinity, Xenon and Mercury Road has the ability to extend his blade, making it infinitely long using his motorous intent and powerful aura. D has the ability to do this as well. His blade can get as long as he needs it to be. And I seen him cut through steel and concrete with his blade. Okay,
you want to talk about a blade, bro? My boy Alucard here has the sheer strength. Okay, so yeah, one of his enemies, I can't remember how to pronounce his name right, but he has like throwing cards. Okay, these throwing cards were so dense and strong enough that they would slice through uranium with ease. When that enemy tried to use that card on Alucard with his hand, his bare hand, just straightforward hand, sliced straight through that card and obliterated his enemy. Okay, so we're talking about a being. Okay, and I'll give some respect to Vampire Hunter D, all right? He is absolutely insanely powerful, but we're talking about a vampire here who isn't only the first vampire to ever exist. He's also got, like, he's basically the vampire god. Okay, so we're talking about a sword that's so strong. Well, my boy's arm is so strong that it would just destroy anything, basically. I mean, if this man's weapon could cut through uranium, and Alucard can just push his hand straight through the card, straight through the dude, I mean, that's some insane amount of physical strength right there that I don't think D's sword would be able to put up against.
What? What you mean? Okay, you need to get your man. Okay, you know what? I'm going to make this my closing statement. I'm going to make this my closing statement. I can't believe you are maligning my boy's strength. You don't understand. Oh, you know what? I can't believe you. Okay, his strength, the limits of D's strength is unknown. I'm gonna tell you why. Because he has shown strength in the excess of 100 tons when cutting through a mountain range. Okay, and if people want to find that, that's in the Twin Shadow Night. Okay, he has also demonstrated his strength by throwing his sword several thousand miles in the accursed repository and throwing wooden needles so fast they burn white flame from friction and can pierce bulletproof glass. He's torn apart high durability tanks of the nobility and of the sacred ancestors' army with his bare hands as if they were tissue paper. When he landed on his feet after Sigma propelled him to just around light speed, he was at a state of near infinite mass, and he was fine. This Vampire Hunter D, I will give Alucard some respect in the fact that he is the OG, he's the man. He is, it's crazy. Now, of course, in your version, he's Dracula, and then in the Castlevania version, he's the son of Dracula. That's okay. That's okay. That's not a problem. He still gets respect either way. But Vampire Hunter D cannot be underestimated. The dude, he's a vampire. He's a Dhampir. Technically, he's a Dhampir with the ability to be full vampire. He's between 5,000 and 10,000 years old. Lightning fast, super tough, ridiculously strong. Just the dude is simply OP, and he has supernatural abilities. He is built to be the best and most legendary vampire hunter in existence. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Vampire Hunter D. I hand it over to my partner, Draven. Go ahead, your closing statement.
All right, my closing statement. This is something I was only bringing up in emergencies. But my boy Alucard has this little thing called Schrodinger's powers. All right? So he basically swallowed Schrodinger. And it made him an omnipresent being that can exist whenever, however, and wherever he so chooses to. All right, my boy here is literally the true and only vampire god. He's omnipresent. I don't know if there's much more to say other than that, man. He's literally a god.
No problem. No problem, man. I appreciate it. I love it. It's an epic battle between, I mean, when it comes to vampires, these are titans. These dudes are some titan vampires. Neither one can be underestimated, but I have to pull for my boy. And obviously you got to pull for your boy, not a problem. But you know what? The good and the bad of it is this. We don't decide who won the battle. You, the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the listening audience, you decide who won. Vampire Hunter D or Alucard. Sound off in the comment section down below. This has been an absolute blast and a joy. And Draven will be back soon.
Oh, yes.
Geek Culture Combat.